The sales robots have taken over, and they're decimating deals left and right, destroying them right in their tracks. On the AI for Sales podcast, our mission is to empower everyday sellers to embrace AI superpowers to build new bridges and crush quota. Dr. Joel Laban said it best in the AI for Sales book. In sales, time kills deals. In AI for Sales, AI kills time. Join our hosts as we learn from the C-suite of the world's fastest growing companies about how you can leverage AI today to transform your sales revenue engine while being the best version of you.
Welcome back to another AI for Sales podcast. We thought we were recording for about 5 minutes, so you missed a really interesting conversation. I'm here with Mimi Gross, and we're going to have a very, very fun and deep conversation. Mimi is coined the phrase people-led growth, and I love it because I think back to my first job out of college called FedEx, and the CEO, Fred Smith, coined the term people, service, profit. Notice the order: people, then service, then the profit comes last. So Mimi's helped thousands of startups and marketers make big moves, build teams, successfully map out their career paths, rebrand their job search positioning, and make lasting connections in our community. As I mentioned, she coined the philosophy of people-led growth as a foundational team builder and career architecting principle. Great teams build great companies, and building great teams is always people first. And you can find her at peoplebymimi.com. So Mimi, thanks for being here.
Thank you. And LinkedIn, always LinkedIn.
And always LinkedIn. That's right.
My website has 5 pushes back to LinkedIn.
Well, before we hit the record button, Mimi confessed something to me today. And that is that she uses automation or sequencing tools on LinkedIn. And yet she's a people person. So I want to understand, Mimi, let's start there because I think that's super important. A lot of people try to manage LinkedIn outreach. I don't know how you would do it. Do you have an Excel spreadsheet and you've got how could you do it without technology? Right. And so how have you figured out how to make it so that what you're doing doesn't sound like a robot, but you're still using technology at the same time? How have you blended those two things together?
That's a great question. And yes, it is a bit of a confession because for years and years, I've been using it. And some of my closest friends have been caught up in some of my automations and had no clue. So I guess I would say I'm proud of my usage. And as I emerged from being exclusively a recruiter, where my daily was hundreds of outreach, and now I'm kind of doing more of the career coaching and job search strategy. So now as I've eased out of it, I've been a lot more comfortable talking about it. So yes, it does take the form of a bit of a confession because it was my big, most fun secret. I obviously shared with people, but I thought a lot about using it. And I mean, I being the victim of bad automation, it's like one of my worst pet peeves. So it was kind of this really interesting line that I was always kind of teetering on, where I knew I had to use it, but I knew how much I hated getting caught up in someone else's really crappy automation. So and I'm a little sneaky. I'm an integrity-driven, sneaky person. So I like to know the rules and work my way all around them to try to make everybody happy. So that's what led to some interesting ideas. I do have some principles. I'm happy to share some of the things.
I think that would be great. You've heard of Gary Vaynerchuk?
Of course.
Yeah. So who doesn't know Gary, right?
But I don't know what he says about this.
And I didn't know him. And so afterwards I walked up to him and apparently his camera crew was there. I go, "Oh, I'd never heard of you before today." And it made his reel, It was really cool.
Best trick to break the ice with a famous person.
Never
just pretend you have no clue who they are.
Yeah. So what I did is I went back to some of his early videos and he said, give, ask for marketers. Actually, it was give, ask. So when I've now done this for 5-7 years, LinkedIn technology and outreach, I teach people when you connect, the first thing you do is you give. And a give is not a here's my latest white paper download on how we can
Right.
solve your business
Which
problem.
I think is very valuable.
Yeah, which I think is great. So, is there any alignment? This is going to be good. Maybe there's some secrets you can share with our audience that's outside of the give, ask idea.
Sure. Now, one caveat I will say is that some of the things that I do are not necessarily scalable. So the way I would frame my use of automation is that it is kind of high profile. So there's a way that, let's just say, if you have a team of salespeople and you're doing some automation, there's some principles you can bring into this. But I would say there is a lot of manual elements that I insert to keep it really human. And I do acknowledge that that isn't scalable in certain ways. But I think the concepts are scalable. So my principle was always vague, vague, vague initial, and then follow it up with like see kind of what comes in there, have first strategy of just, low hanging fruit, like who actually just responds. Once they respond, that's when I go research, figure out who they are, what's going on, and I do it really quickly. Like if you're
Yes.
it's just
After
much
you've got the fish
easy.
on the
Yeah,
line,
it's
then
just
you're going to
much
go check
easier
out what
than
the fish looks like. Yes.
yeah, no, one thing I'll say ahead of that is I'm obsessive about how I formulate who I'm reaching out to. So all of my I use tools to help with, managing my LinkedIn activity. And one of the ways that I automate, which I think is really helpful but underutilized, is I tag cohorts of people. So it's not just types, it's actually sometimes it's a time period. Sometimes it's a particular LinkedIn live that I promoted. And so now that group of people, maybe it's 150 people, I personally sent a note to about this LinkedIn live because I thought it was really, really appropriate for them. Now I have this separate conversation going with them, and that 150 people goes into a cohort.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess the philosophy there is, kind of think ahead how you're going to go for it. Make sure you're tracking your activities, grouping people together into smaller but larger groups than one,
Yep.
and then kind of allowing that to lead some of it. So that helps because it's slightly more personalized. But my basic philosophy is when is just automate, personalize, automate, personalize. So
Yeah.
that's the core of it, is that I always try to like get in there with a personal piece before I let myself really automate like a full sequence.
I'm helping a digital marketing company right now, and they have a high end enterprise guy who travels all over the country. He's been to 5 shows in the last month. And so after the show, he sends us a list of 50 companies that he talked to. And then we go pull the right titles that contain digital, contain whatever.
Okay.
And we say, hey, I ran into some of your colleagues from Marriott at this show. So
Right.
that kind of builds that cohort that you're talking about. And we're finding really good acceptance rates, really good
Yes.
reply rates because, hey, it's like, did you talk to my boss at the show? I better take this meeting,
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that leads to another piece. What you just mentioned is there being a little vague and letting
Yes.
people guess,
Yes.
but not doing it in a deceptive
Yeah.
and obnoxious way is great. I mean, I used to sit listening to a salesperson who would kind of like lie their way past a gatekeeper, by saying that they were at a conference kind of thing.
Yes. And that's a little bit outside. That's to me is black and white. I'm not going to
No,
go to
it's
that
not
gray
right.
zone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's not right. But if you actually met the person
Yes.
and you don't mention that you met them at this conference, you're losing so much of an opportunity
Yes.
that is not that personal, but is like very helpful.
Yes. Yes. Well, the other one we've learned is by going to groups on LinkedIn, like for this woman, Barbara, she's written 4 books, she's Christian. And so we go look up Christian groups. Hey, I
Oh,
see
that's
we're
great.
both like minded individuals. She gets an 88% connection rate, and most people see a 20% connection rate. So now in the last month, LinkedIn changed where I'm typing in Christian and I used to see dozens of groups. I think they're only showing me the ones I'm a member of now on the search. And
What?
I'm
Does
like,
it do that
you
for other
people.
types of things or just for Christian? Because
No, you can do Salesforce user group. You could do, you
no, I'm
name it.
saying like, is it
Oh no,
limiting
it's
only Christian groups or?
I sure hope not. That would be
Me
very,
too.
talk
I
about
sure.
deceiving. Yeah, yeah. No, I think it's other
But
groups. I think it's other.
okay, that's interesting. So, well, that's
Otherwise,
interesting.
they're
But
getting a
yeah,
letter.
I mean, that's a great little tip that I can give people about growing your network because it is not. I actually like that LinkedIn kind of keeps it tight on that front. But
Yeah,
one of the tips that I give people who are trying to build is if you can really hone in, like something like that, Christian groups. I'm working with an author who has a set of cards, like Oracle type cards, but they're more psychological than mystical. And he's trying to target therapists who have a spiritual bent, because they use that.
yeah,
Now, what I've found in helping him navigate his way is that it's a tight community. So the minute he's expanded it to 30 people who he's had authentic relationships with,
yeah.
suddenly he has 30 people in common with all the new people.
Yes.
And or maybe not 30, but a significant enough amount that getting those connections becomes easier and easier for him.
Yeah. Like I remember Kevin McCarthy on purpose.me, and he's done it for 30 years. He knows everybody.
Yeah,
So you get to Kevin, and then he starts saying, you got to talk to Chad. You got to be on his podcast. It's really good.
right.
And then it's all interconnected, It's, yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
very neat.
it's interesting. And it all comes down to you can't replace the human touch and you can't replace the human element. And what I've found, because I have tried, I mean, when I was young with this stuff, I was like, oh my God, I can automate 5 messages at once. How cool is that?
Yeah.
And then you realize like you go out for a coffee and then like something crazy's just happened.
Yeah, right.
You're
And
like,
or
oh
if I go out of town for a week and you come back, you're like 24 unreads. Wow, what's in there? And to your point, I'd love to go research when they respond. Then it's let me make sure that I'm fully lined up
yeah.
with them.
Yeah.
I think you'll be surprised at where Facebook. So we've got a partner that does Facebook AI, powered
Wow.
by ChatGPT,
Okay.
and it can have the full conversation. So similar to
Whoa.
you, at first I was like, well, hold on, my people aren't on Facebook. And so that was a myth that was busted because I can go find sales leaders, entrepreneur groups. There's all kinds of groups
Yeah,
on Facebook.
definitely.
The value is LinkedIn's become a place where everybody's prospecting everybody. So Facebook, kind of like Gary Vee, is this whole new engine where it's like nobody prospects me there. But if they did with the right message at the right place in the right time
Oh,
with a give strategy,
all the ADHD tools that
yeah.
come up in my feed every 2 weeks that I go on Facebook to go on Marketplace to sell something every once in a while.
Yeah.
I have bought those ADHD tools.
There you go.
So
Exactly.
yeah,
So
no,
you see, I'm
it's
fidgeting with the
definitely
old
a
piece of
place.
paper right here.
Exactly. No, but it's like, well, how does Facebook know how ADHD I am? I
How
don't
does it
know.
know? Yeah.
But
So
but
this
no,
tool,
it's a great
you
place.
answer the about section. So it
Okay.
says, people by Mimi, and then you just copy and paste it from your website. Or you
Okay.
go to ChatGPT and you just say, hey, give me my top FAQs based on my website. So
Okay.
then you program in your top 10 FAQs. You program in your 3 products if you want, or just one. Could be a
Right.
webinar, could be a white paper download, could be a
This
hour with
sounds
Mimi,
great.
whatever. Then you do qualification questions. So the first time I did it, I asked 8. Like that's too many.
I'm gonna check this
In a
out. What's
Facebook, I
what's
would
the
go.
name of it, by the way? This
It's
is
called EZ, like E and then
yeah.
the letter Z, messengerai.com.
Okay, cool.
Easy
Well,
Messenger
continue
AI.
explaining it. It's fascinating.
It's so cool. And so you can go back and then anytime, it's in a grayed out bar on my drive or on my Chrome extension running in the background.
Mm-hmm.
I can have another one open where I can go take over from the AI at any given time. So I can go in and I can go,
That's
oh, I
great.
want to grab this one. This is great, right? So normally when you're out, and if it runs for a week without me, then I'll look and it's like 25, 30 different conversational chats with one person. And then you go, wow, that one did pretty good. And then occasionally you go, I wish it wouldn't have gone there. Let's tighten that up a bit. So I really think you're going to blow
Wow.
your mind that
That
if you
sounds
took your
so
automation to one
interesting.
level, just wait till you get to
Okay.
this level.
Well, I would love to, before we started recording, and I know we're coming to the close, so I would love to throw this in because it was such a great one. Just the idea of AI and how it's kind of, is it taking over? Is it scary? Is it good? And I don't know. It just kind of, I haven't really thought of it this way, but what we said is just the idea that, like, okay, it can make humans better. So it's never going to replace humans. We're talking about from the sales perspective. You know, I love a great pitch. That pitch is just, AI could spend years dissecting. It can respond, it can formulate data, but for it to understand how to pitch a person the way that a good pitch from a human does, like, I just don't see that happening.
Right. Well, I'm taking an NLP masterclass right now because of that. I'm 5 months in to a
That's a kind
12
of
month
therapy, NLP?
neuro linguistic programming
Yeah,
is
what
the
is that? Okay.
term. It started in the 50s and 60s, and it's how do you communicate better as a human.
Hmm.
So the first 4 months have been just about paying attention. Where do your eyes go? What words do you use? See, hear, or feel? So if you use the word see what I mean, Chad, then if I talk in C language, visual, we'll be more connected, right? We'll have better rapport.
That's
But if
nice.
I'm like, don't you think that it, and you'd be like, what? This guy's a thinker. And so just paying attention to how people
Cool.
talk. So to your point, the AI can do the meeting and appointment setting or the basic monotonous stuff. And then the human to human conversation, I think there's more weight on the value and importance of that
Well, because it's a podcast, and differences of opinion, even if we only have 3 more minutes,
now.
I want to push back on that, and I want to
Yes.
say, even NLP types of things, I would predict that AI could do that. They could listen for words that you use and themes and things like that, and it could try its very best to
Hmm.
capture the soul of the person who's speaking, and to try to
Right.
be able to resonate. But there's nothing like, I guess there's just a human connection that I think will become more and more prevalent,
Yeah.
and that more and more people will start to become aware of, that they're good
Yeah.
at.
Yes.
Now we
It's
think, oh,
spirit to
there's,
spirit, like the soul
yes.
connection, right?
Yeah,
That
like there's
can't be done
something
by a computer.
real. There's something real, and the computers are just trying to process all of the details of the effect of that. A good analogy to this is magnetism. Magnetism is a really important science that we know so much about, that we are comfortable putting a train on, a magnetic appliance, whatever it is, but we actually don't know why it does what it does. We know everything about how it does it, but we don't know why. And there's a
Mm.
lot of that in science. And, there's that, like, nugget at the end of all things, that if you believe in God or if you believe in something higher. But with humans, I feel it whenever I interact with AI. It's like, wow, that was pretty good. But it's never making me laugh,
Hmm.
like fall on the floor, LOL, laughing in like a deep way. It's like, maybe there's a funny joke. It can get a chuckle. But there's something that I think, if you're sensitive, like I have always been sensitive to this stuff. That's why I'm people led everything. But but I think what's going to happen is everyone will start being more sensitive to that
Yeah.
and becoming
Yeah.
better at that.
I
And
100%
AI,
agree.
they think they're pushing us to be more dependent on AI, but I actually think that it just pushes us closer and closer to humans.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I believe that. I think that will happen. I predict that because
Yeah.
it's cheesy. It's
Yeah.
good. It's good.
Yeah.
If you use it, I mean, I use it with resume writing because, it's a pain in the butt. And so I'll run some stuff through it. But I always have to kind of throw in that nuance and the human touch. You can't just throw that out.
Yes, I agree. Well,
Right?
this has been amazing. I think we're going to have a 2.0 because we were
We could.
shortened to 20 minutes. So
Well, it'd
maybe
be
we're going
great
to
to
have
have
Mimi
you.
Gross
Yeah,
2.0.
and maybe we'll have you on on my show, the Cybersecurity Matchmaker. I haven't done a season in a while, but the next season is about job search, and I would love to hear maybe you have some insight
Oh yeah,
on,
my
just from a
biggest
sales
customer was a
perspective.
recruiting firm,
Oh,
and they would get
nice.
15 meetings a week with people that were just
Wow,
graduating college. So
that's
think of the
great.
college career fairs. Now on LinkedIn, you can say, "Show me people that have been at USC for 3 years
Oh,
as a
yeah,
student with finance in their title," and you can go reach out, "Hey,
that's
go
amazing.
Trojans!" And then we were able to help them get 15 candidate
That is
interviews a week.
amazing.
Yeah, it was
That's
really
amazing.
cool.
Well, we also, yeah, I think we have an audience that really needs to hear some of what you're doing, especially if you're doing it from an authentic perspective. So many
Yeah.
cybersecurity industry is a really rough one and could definitely use probably some of that touch. So
Yeah.
thanks for
And
having
LinkedIn
me.
newsletter. We'll talk about that as well. I'll follow back up
Yes.
with you after this
I would
conversation.
like to hear about that. And then I'll tell you all the fun things that happen when you do a LinkedIn Live that you wouldn't think.
I love it.
Yeah,
All right,
I'll do
everyone. We've
that.
been talking
Okay.
to Mimi Gross. Make sure to visit her website today at People by Mimi, Mimi, peoplebymimi.com. So good getting to know you today. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. Bye.
All right, everyone. Catch you on the next AI for Sales podcast.
Hey, you made it this far in your AI for sales journey. Want to augment your sales growth? First, leave us a review and then visit www.scalex.ai to claim your free strategy session today.